So our next annotated reading will be a chapter from the book Discipline and Punish by Michel Foucault. This selection, sometimes called the Panopticon and sometimes just called Panopticism, is one of Foucault's most well-known writings. French historian and philosopher Michel Foucault wrote Discipline and Punish, The Birth of the Prison, to explore the history and evolution of punishment in Western societies. The book begins with a detailed account of the brutal public execution of a 17th century regicide named Damiens, which Foucault argues was a turning point in the history of punishment. From there, he traces the evolution of punishment from the public torture and execution of criminals to the development of the modern prison system. Foucault argues that punishment has become increasingly focused on discipline and control as opposed to retribution or vengeance. He suggests that modern disciplinary power is characterized by a focus on surveillance, normalization, and the creation of obedient subjects. The book explores various forms of disciplinary power, including the prison system, the school system, and the military. Throughout the book, Foucault challenges traditional notions of power and resistance, arguing that power is not simply held by those in positions of authority, but is instead dispersed throughout society. He suggests that resistance to power can take many forms, and that individuals can challenge and subvert power structures in a variety of ways. The chapter we will read focuses on a unique style of prison, the Panopticon, described by the British philosopher and social reformer Jeremy Bentham. The concept of the Panopticon is central to Foucault's analysis of modern disciplinary power and the ways in which power is exercised in modern society. The Panopticon is a prison design first proposed by Bentham in the late 18th century. The basic idea is to create a circular building with a tower in the center from which guards can observe all the inmates without being seen themselves. The inmates are arranged in individual cells along the outer walls of the building. The design aims to create a situation where inmates are constantly under surveillance and therefore must self-regulate their behavior, as they never know when they are being watched. Foucault will offer a more specific description, but it may help to watch this video with a 3D model based on Bentham's writings.
The Panopticon is the form of the ideal prison. Designed around 1787 by English philosopher Jeremy Bentham. Over 300 prisons around the world follow this model. A circle of diameter of 100 feet. Around the perimeter of this circle stretch cells. Each cell is 9 feet deep and 48 per floor. Each cell has a toilet, a bed, and space to work. The cells rise 6 floors. On every other floor there is a surveillance corridor, in which a guard may survey 2 floors of prisoners. The guard watches the prisoners, but the prisoners do not see the guard and do not know when they are watched, and must therefore act as if they were always watched. 3 guards each see 96 prisoners, which makes 288 prisoners total. In the centre of the space there is an auditorium, in which the prisoners may assemble to be lectured. A wall of screens may rise surrounding the chapel, and separating the prisoners from seeing into it, or from seeing each other from across the void of the empty space in middle. Spiral staircases ascend through the space. And an iron and glass frame rises through the space and vaults over the chapel. This completes the Panopticon, the form of the ideal prison.
To say all in one word, the Panopticon will be found applicable, I think, without exception, to all establishments whatsoever.
Jeremy Bentham.
Foucault argues that the Panopticon represents a new form of power in modern society. Unlike the traditional forms of power which relied on physical violence and punishment, the Panopticon operates through constant observation and the threat of punishment. The Panopticon creates a sense of internalized discipline within the individual as they become their own enforcer of the rules. Foucault also notes that the Panopticon design has been used in a variety of institutions beyond prisons, such as hospitals, schools, and factories. In each case, the design serves to create a sense of discipline and order through constant observation. Foucault goes on to explore the implications of this form of power for modern society. He argues that the Panopticon creates a situation in which individuals are constantly monitored and controlled. Foucault goes on to explore the implications of this form of power for modern society. He argues that the Panopticon creates a situation in which individuals are constantly monitored and controlled, leading to a loss of individual freedom and autonomy. He also suggests that the Panopticon represents a shift away from traditional forms of power that were based on violence and coercion, towards a more subtle and insidious form of power that operates through surveillance and observation. Foucault's analysis of the Panopticon provides a powerful critique of modern disciplinary power and its impact on individuals and society. By highlighting the ways in which power operates through observation and control, he challenges us to question the limits of our own freedom and autonomy in the modern world. While focusing on the idea of the Panopticon, Foucault also explores the themes of categorization and isolation in his analysis of modern disciplinary power. Foucault argues that modern society is characterized by a system of categorization in which individuals are categorized according to various criteria such as age, ethnicity, gender, social class. This categorization serves to create a sense of order and control as individuals are assigned to specific roles and expected to conform to certain norms and expectations. Furthermore, Foucault argues that this system of categorization is closely tied to the idea of isolation. Individuals who do not conform to societal norms and expectations are often isolated and marginalized from mainstream society, leading to a loss of social status and power. Foucault notes that this system of categorization and isolation is particularly evident in the prison system, where inmates are categorized according to their crimes, ethnicity, and social status, and then isolated from mainstream society. He suggests that this system serves to reinforce existing power structures and maintain social order in the expense of individual freedom and autonomy. Foucault's analysis of categorization and isolation highlights the ways in which power operates through the control and regulation of individuals within society. Foucault's analysis of categorization and isolation highlights the ways in which power operates through the control and regulation of individuals within society. By challenging the categories and norms that shape our understanding of ourselves and others, Foucault invites us to question the limits of our own freedom and the possibilities for resistance and change within modern society. Foucault's analysis of the Panopticon challenges the idea of utopia as a perfect or ideal society. While the Panopticon was originally proposed as a model for a more efficient and humane form of imprisonment, Foucault argues that it represents a dystopian form of power that relies on constant surveillance and control. Foucault suggests that the Panopticon embodies the idea of a perfect society in which individuals are self-regulating and obedient, and where social order is maintained through a constant observation and control of individuals. However, he also notes that this vision of a perfect society is based on a fundamental loss of individual freedom and autonomy, as individuals are forced to conform to a set of determined norms and expectations. In this sense, the Panopticon represents the kind of utopia that is really a kind of dystopia, as it relies on the constant surveillance and control of individuals, which is both oppressive and unsustainable. Instead of striving for a perfect society, Foucault suggests that we should focus on creating a more open and democratic society in which individuals have the freedom to express themselves and challenge existing power structures. Foucault's analysis of the Panopticon invites us to consider the dynamic and contested nature of power within modern society. By recognizing the limitations and dangers of systems of control and surveillance, Foucault offers a critical perspective on the possibilities and limits of human freedom and autonomy in the modern world. I hope, at least for those of you who are fans of dystopian books and movies, that these ideas sound familiar to you, as it is a common component in dystopian narratives. Evgeny Zamyatin's novel We is set in a futuristic society where citizens are referred to by numbers instead of names and are subjected to constant surveillance and control. The government uses a glass wall called the Green Wall to watch citizens and maintain order. George Orwell's 1984 depicts a totalitarian society where citizens are constantly monitored and controlled by the government. The government uses a vast network of telescreens to watch and listen to citizens. Dave Eggers' novel The Circle is set in a near-future world where a powerful technology company called The Circle has created a network of cameras and sensors that allow it to monitor every aspect of people's lives. The company encourages its employees to live on campus and participate in its social network, creating a sense of constant surveillance and control. The 1985 film Brazil is set in a dystopian future where a totalitarian government uses a vast network of bureaucracies and surveillance systems to maintain control over its citizens. The film explores themes of conformity and control as the main character attempts to resist the oppressive regime. The 1998 film The Truman Show follows the life of Truman Burbank, who is unaware that his entire life is being broadcast to the world as part of a reality TV show. The film explores the idea of constant surveillance and control, as Truman is unable to escape the watchful eye of the show's producers. And as we've seen, anyone familiar with the Hunger Games franchise should also recognize the idea of the Panopticon.